good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever may be the case. My name is Cecil Young, and I've been coming to you for the last couple of months, trying to get your points of views as to what I've been talking about. And part of the reason why I want that is because it's important that you understand the value of people coming together. And here I have a bunch of photos of some of the people that were in the meetings that we were having back in the days when we had the Citizens Committee that were concerned about various rights and various needs not being met in the neighborhood. Now in this photograph you see here Fleeta Hudson, who at the time was the town clerk's office. She was in charge of that. You have Callan Nutmnar, who was former NAACP president. You have former Senator Ed Gomes. You have myself. You also have Jerry Johnson, who's a community activist. You also have some of the scales that are on Seaview Avenue. You also have the Caldwells, as well as Ralph Ford, who's the district leader of the East End. You also have James Holloway, who's a city council member, and also Council Member Ernest Newton, who also was at that time a state rep. You also will see here in this photograph Clarence Craig, who was the director of the Bridgeport Housing Authority, as well as you will see Joe Ganem, who was the mayor of the city of Bridgeport back in '85, who we were talking with, who we were trying to meet with, because at that time there was a number of folks that were concerned about Ganem at that time not really responding to him as much as they should have, as they could have. You have Shirley Beam as well as Fleeta Hudson, you see a moment ago in that photograph. That's Shirley Beam, and that was also Fleeta Hudson. Above that you have my brother Leonard Young, Tony Young, who since passed, went on with the Lord, but he's one of the ones that was involved with the Citizens Committee at that time. But again, I show you these folders to show you people that were concerned about what needs to be done in our neighborhoods. We also have Francis Roebuck as well at the meeting, who was also at attendance. You have Senator Alvin Penn, who finally showed up at one of our meetings, who basically began to want to participate in terms of where we were coming from. You have the former NAACP president, Julian Braxton. You also have Lieutenant David Daniels from the Bridgeport Police Department. There were a number of folks that were there, Butchie Laws as well. You have a number of folks that were there that were concerned about things that were not going on in the neighborhood that should have been going on. You also just seen Warren Blunt, who was also a city council member. Warren Blunt, who was a city council member, who became a city council member after being a part of what we were a part of. What troubles me is that most of these folks that were a part of the Citizens Committee, which was designed to empower people who live in the neighborhoods. You know, my brother Michael Young, who likewise is in that photograph, who we just passed. Michael there is my brother there, who also has passed since then. But these were two of my brothers that got involved in what we were talking about, trying to get done for our neighborhood, for our people. And there's also homeowners that were involved, that were concerned about the East End and where it was going. I say that to be saying this here, that it's going to take this kind of involvement of people to really see what's going on and to do something about what's going on in our neighborhood. But if we keep electing people that look like you and I, who once they get in position of authority, they forget where they come from by not responding to the issues that brought them there to the table in the beginning, we have to begin to face up to the fact that unless we begin to give them an agenda that's going to point out their specific goals and objectives that relates to our needs, we're finding ourselves threading against a wall that's really not turning in our favor. And I'm saying we shouldn't have to be gathering people together like that and being misleaded, being taken advantage of, because that's what's happening to our people. They're being taken advantage of. Now you talk about the development on the East End. Yes, there's a big store getting ready to come up on the East End. A whole block that's been tore down that's getting ready to be rehabbed. It's taking maybe another 10 more years. Maybe it might get completed then, whenever it's going to get completed. Nevertheless, it's something that was seeded, that was planted, and that we hope will bring the kind of harvest that we want, that will make people feel like it was worth the wait. But until that happens, I just wanted you to see some of the people that were concerned about things on the East End and in our neighborhood and who showed up. I also want to show you again, which I've been talking about all along, which brought me to this table in the beginning, which was about the fact that my wife here, Patricia Young, you will see at that time, we had got married on 3/16/06 by Paul Ganem, who is the mayor's brother, Joe Ganem. Paul Ganem married me on that day. The date that I got married, that was the day that she was put on my insurance policy. That's my daughter, Crystal Young, along with her mother. And Judge Paul Ganem, who stepped off his bench at that time when he was judge, to take a moment or two to marry me and my fiance at the time, Patricia Young, in order that she might have the kind of benefits that she will need in order to deal with the pressure that she was going through, which was the pressure of writing letters to every and anybody, night and day, 24/7. She wrote them. And yes, she became a casualty of part of what I have got her involved in, which is helping me to fight for the injustice that they did to me. They wouldn't even allow me to take a medical leave of absence. I requested a medical leave of absence 2/27/06 for just a month, the 3/29. Okay, the 3/29, 1 month. I asked for a medical leave of absence after working with the city for 27 and a half years. Never had a problem with the city in terms of attendance, in terms of my ability to not be able to show up at work. I showed up at work all the time. You look at the dates on this poster, you will see the date that I requested a month leave of absence. Dr. Wanick, who's a psychiatrist, who is the one who's been treating me for anxiety, depression, and all the above. I've been living up under those kind of conditions. Why? Because the people who look like you and I, instead of doing what they said they're going to do, they began to go along with the program instead of doing what they said they're going to do in the beginning. And I say shame on them. But I thank God for the city and the insurance policy that they had, because that helped gave my wife the kind of insurance she needed, the kind of attention she needed as she was going through her troubles of dealing with what she was dealing with. She had a smoking problem, which led to her having a heart attack. But she was also stressed out over writing letters after letters on my behalf about how they were treating me. And I thank God for the Assistant Attorney General Mitchell, who wrote a report indicating to the state auditors that they should look into my unjust termination, that they should look into these complaints that I'm filing against Gerald Weiner, Mike Cohad, Albert Murphy. All of these were state labor board commissioners that were involved in the cover-up. I say cover-up. Now, I don't come to you speaking lightly. I don't come to you saying anything that I can't back up. My concern is that why am I being treated like what I was told? Why I can't speak in city council no longer? Because I used the word. What word did I use? The nigger word. Why did I use the nigger word? Because I'm tired of being treated like a nigger. I'm a black man. I said that. And I am tired of being treated like a nigger. I'm a black man. But I thank God for Mr. Mitchell, who is a white man who decided to look at my case, not the color of my skin, but the content of my character, which showed him that this was a case worthwhile pursuing. And he pursued it on my behalf. At that time, Attorney General Blumenthal was Attorney General at the time. That was in 2009, March 1st, 2009, all right? This man, the Assistant Attorney General, wrote a letter to the state auditors on my behalf, requesting them to investigate allegations of them committing fraud. Now I will have my fiance, my wife, Sandra Young, who now will read off to you what the letter was pertaining to Assistant Attorney General Mitchell response on my behalf. Yes. She don't want to be seen at this time because she understands the importance of the repercussions, because I likewise am living in fear. I don't know from one day to the next that I might not be here. So that's why I'm leaving you a trail of what I've been trying to say, what I've been trying to do, even though I know my life has been put in jeopardy. And I don't want hers to be put in jeopardy. So we agreed that she will not be seen, because I don't want them to take me out along with her, because she don't deserve to be taken out. This is me. I've already paid enough. My wife paid enough. My family paid enough. So let her read to you what the state auditor said pertaining to what Assistant Attorney General Mitchell said to her in this report. Will you please read on?
Okay. The letter is State of Connecticut Auditors of Public Accounts, dated November 29, 2010. The letter is addressed to Cecil and Patricia Young. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Young, this will acknowledge receipt of your Freedom of Information Act request to our office, dated November 22nd, 2010. In your letter, you requested copies of all documents that have resulted from our investigation into a whistleblower complaint that you submitted alleging the Connecticut State Labor Board misuse of state funds. Copies of all the documents our office received from the Office of the Attorney General and copies of the documents that we may have sent to other parties. Please be advised that pursuant to Section 1-210B 13 of the Connecticut General Statutes, records of an investigation under the provisions of Section 4-61DD, i.e. the whistleblower statute, are exempt from disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act. Because the general statutes allow for the exemption of these records under the Freedom of Information Act, it is the policy of our office, in conjunction with the Office of the Attorney General, not to disclose the records.
And right there, what she just said, it is under their understanding, and the public should be fully aware that if you plan on being a whistleblower, you better keep it to yourself. Now, if you got something that you want to complain about, they say if you see something, say something. Take my word, I'm a living example of what could happen to you. You just see me read off several documentation, show you several photographs of evidence of me being persecuted, my rights being violated as an American citizen. Can you believe that this in America, this could happen to somebody like me who's giving a damn about wanting to do something about right versus wrong and being treated like a slave? Then you say to me, why do I use the nigger word? Well, if you treat me like a nigger, what you think I'm going to use? And don't be offended by it, because I'm not. I hear it every day by white folks, black folks, Puerto Rican folks. What's so big deal about the word nigger? So what, nigger? I ain't called you no nigger. If I said I feel like you make me feel like I'm being treated like a nigger, I got a right to say that. This is America. You can say anything you want to say. That's why I love this program. That's why I ask you to go to the website. Check out Green Homes, Cecil Young and Community Policing at Green Homes. Go to YouTube, Soundview TV. Look up Soundview TV and look at the things that I've been involved in. Look at the kind of patrol that I had them police officers do in our neighborhoods to protect you. Whether you be white, whether you be black, whether you be Puerto Rican, whether you be Jew, what have you. I believe in right and wrong. And it was my job to do what I could as an American citizen to help those of them that needed help. I did it because I wanted to, not because I had to. I was called by God to do what I've been able to do, and I thank God for him giving me the authority to do what I've been able to do, because I was told back then I would never be able to do anything but be a failure. Well, I'm 73 years old now. I'm 73 years old now, and I haven't worked in 17 years. 17 years I haven't worked because they've been denying me my rights. They took away my sheriff job. They took away my regular job. They took away all of the jobs that I had. I had 2.5 jobs. They took them all away, and God still kept me strong enough to be able to maintain this storm, long enough to be able to get the message to those of them that look like you and me. If you want to be a whistleblower, think twice before you decide to want to take the right side of saying what needs to be said. Because there's the consequences. There is no such thing as free speech. Yes, you freely can speak, but there's a price to pay for it. So I say free speech to me was not free, because I'm paying for my right. And I asked my wife before she left this world, I told her that I would not let her life be in vain. I would not let what she went through be in vain. She was a bookkeeper. She wasn't a writer. She wasn't a poet. She wasn't someone that had the kind of time to take the right letters to those people who were in power, those people that got authority to do the right thing. They didn't do it. They ignored her writing. They ignored her complaint. Their complaints were filed by her and me. Mr. and Mrs. Young. Her name at the time was Patricia Nichols and became Patricia Young. Why? Because I felt she was worthy of being who she was. And to take the stand that she took, even though that wasn't her cup of tea, she took it not just for me, but for you as well. And that is why I say to you, black man, white man, Puerto Rican man, Jewish man, help me, help you, help yourself. You're not going to get it like this from anybody else that I know of. And if you do, let me know, because I need to follow somebody. I need to follow somebody that I can believe and that I can trust. I find myself alone in the valley of despair. And I'm saying, what does it take to get the kind of justice, the kind of support I need? All I need is one. One to give me the right, to stand up for my rights, to help me let them know that you can shut me up, but you won't shut me down. Like a seed being planted in the ground, I will rise again. You may cut me down again, but I will rise again. Why? Because you did not plant the seed. God is the one who planted me to do what I'm doing, and I'm going to continue doing that. And all I say to you, shame on those of them who are in the way of injustice. Yes, your day is coming. You may not think that your day is not coming. Your day is coming. You may persecute me today, but you better worry about you tomorrow, or your tomorrow, future tomorrow, because God doesn't like ugly. He likes right and wrong versus right and wrong. He loves right. And I think those of y'all who know right and wrong, why don't you practice what you preach, not what you teach? You were anointed with the power to tell truth to those of them that sit in positions of authority, but you're not doing that. Shame on you. You talk about you care about Dr. King. You care about the right to have a day off. You care about June 16th, the day we were liberated. Well, what is our liberation it brought to us? It brought to us our neighborhoods filled with crime, filled with despair, filled with hopelessness, filled with doubt, saying 85% of those of them that are in prison are illiterate. Those of them that are in federal and state prison are illiterate. Well, what was wrong with the system? Yet he couldn't reach those of them that are so-called locked up in federal prison and state prison. What was wrong with them? Was it them or was it the system? What was wrong with them? I see a lot of those that you took for granted and wrote off as being nothing, come to find out that they were more than you could ever imagine. And shame on you for you not taking an opportunity to understand that God did not come to this world with a book. He did not come here with a Bible written in words that you could understand. He came with signs and wonders that showed you that it had to be a God in order to give what we got. Those of them that were in bondage, those of them that were in chains, those of them that were being lynched, those of them that were being persecuted by people that looked like you and me. Shame on them. God does not forget those of them that violate his prophets. I am a prophet of the Lord, and I say to you who doubt me, do not turn your back on injustice. For if today is me, tomorrow it could be you. Please help me, help you, help yourself. Do not let me go down in vain by myself. I didn't come this far to give up. So I want to thank those of them that were involved with me over the years. I want to thank those of them that thought about supporting me over the years, that you were supporting righteousness, not nothing negative. You were supporting something worthy of supporting. Why? Because God told me so, to tell you so. And if you have any questions about it, you call him up. You got his number. You know how to reach God better than I do. You, especially those of you who claim to be a Christian, those of you who claim to be all of the above, contact God and ask him, was Cecil Young one of those like David who ran up against Goliath and told Goliath, hold up? Told his army, hold up. I'll take care of the Pharaoh's arrow. What did he do? He took a slingshot, pulled out of the back of his pocket, found a rock, put it in that slot. What did he do? He took David down. He took Goliath down. David took him down. He took him down. Why? It wasn't a rock. It was the power behind that rock that hit him in the right place at the right time. And he fell back on his back. And then he took his head. What time is it? It's time for us to take the Pharaoh's head if he's not going to do the right thing. How do we do that? By getting involved, by knowing what time it is, by organizing, by teaching your people how to fish. Stop fishing for them. Stop giving them lines to go to get a bag of groceries instead of giving them a line to go to teach them how to fight, how to fish for themselves. That's what you should be doing. That's what God has given me the power to do, and I need some more disciples like me to help you help yourself, because I can't go too much more longer. I'm getting tired and I'm getting old. But I want you to know that you got a trail that I'm digging and I'm laying out for you to follow. And if you follow this trail, it will not be in vain, for it was not in vain for me. Look at me today, and hide of what they thought of me, I'm doing all right. And hide of not being able to work for 17 years, I'm doing all right. Huh? The best is still yet to come. Why? Because God has said, I got much more ahead for you to do. And you just prepare yourself for that day to come. For the time is coming where I'm going to need you to go to YouTube, look up my website. Look up all of the things I've been saying, all the things I've been doing. Look at the website and follow me, Cecil Young, on YouTube, on SoundView. Help me, help you, help yourself. Look at those police officers. They're smiling. They're grinning. They're at peace. They're not angry. They're not bitter. They're happy. Why? Because I showed them they don't have to be bitter. They don't have to be angry. They don't have to act like a pit bull. They need to treat you with the same respect they want to be treated with. And that's what they have been learning to do from me, Cecil Young. Why? Because I care. Look at Mr. Wayne. Look at Mike Cohen. Look at Gerald Wayne Murphy. There's no excuse that these people could rule against someone like me after 27 and a half years. And they got a nerve to call my doctor's note literally strapped to paper. Shame on them. Dr. Mary Evans, Jody Paul, Mark Anastasia, the city attorney. Okay, there's no reason that they would do me like that. Huh? Why? because they think they can get away with it. So if you decide to want to be a whistleblower, I say to you, think twice before you do so. Look at what they did to me. And yes, I don't like it, but if I had to do it over again, yes, I would do it over again. Why? Because God has given me the power to do what I've been able to do, and I thank him for doing it, in height of the pain that I had to bear in order to do what I do. And I still thank God for it in height of it. And I thank you for listening to me. But I hope to God that you will use what I'm saying to you for not only you, for yourself, for your tomorrow's future. Because if we don't do it, no one else will. Let's do it now, for tomorrow may be too late. Thank you, Connie. In 7 minutes, Lord knows I can still move mountains with that. You sure got me the right time? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I said before, oh, you're getting me started now. I thought my time was running out, but I said I got 7 more minutes. You know what I can do in 7 minutes? Well, I'm going to tell you, it ain't about all of that in a bag of chips. Help me get Councilman Ernest Newton to file up on what he said he would file up on. He was a part of the reason why I got my job taken from me. He as a state rep, I thought would come to my defense all the way, not halfway. He came halfway and told him to the mayor. Mayor, I want them to look into why Cecil got terminated to see if it was justifiable or not. That's what Councilman Ernest Newton said on my behalf. He said that publicly at the city council. And do you know his response back from the mayor's staff, Janine Hawkins, was that I am a disgruntled employee. I am a disgruntled employee, and that's the reason why they got rid of me. Ain't that a shame that a woman of her stature, a black woman, a lawyer, will lie under oath and send a letter to the U.S. Attorney's Office telling them to disregard my complaints as a disgruntled employee? I say to the feds, shame on you if you don't lock her up for lying to you. Shame on you if you don't lock me up for lying to you. Lock one of us, well, somebody got to go to jail. Somebody should go to jail. I'm not a liar. Ain't nothing I said I can't back up. I was at work on March 16, 2006. I have documentation in black and white. You will see once you go to the YouTube, once you go to Soundview, once you go to Green Home, you will see in black and white evidence confirming what I've been saying. I'm not just saying what I'm saying to be saying. If they could do this to me, they'll do it to you. So if you're a whistleblower, you better keep your whistle to yourself. Especially if you're black. Now, and I'm saying whistleblowers that I've been hearing about been whites, and they've been being seen. And even though General Tung says he can't disclose of anything, I ain't asked you to disclose of anything. All I said to you is that remove Gerald Weiner, Mike Cohad, Albert Murphy, remove them from the labor board because they were not fair and impartial. They showed their impartiality. Why? Because they committed fraud. And evidence will show that if you look at the auditor's report. Who were the 2 auditors that did the report?
Kevin P. Johnson.
Kevin P. Johnson.
And Robert G. Jackal. Now, these are 2 of the state auditors that were involved in making the decision in terms of the report that they got from the Assistant Attorney General Mitchell. Now, they gave their report in 2010. Now, we're in 2023, and you know what bothers me is that it was around 2015, I contacted at that time, I believe it was George Jefferson, might have been Attorney General at the time, and he told me at that time to contact Congressman Hines, and I knew good and well something wasn't right then. He told me that Congressman Hines should be the one I should be contacting. Did you believe that? Attorney General Jefferson told me that? Cecil Young? Ask him that. Check the report to see what he told me pertaining to my file. That's why when they say now Attorney General Tung can't find anything pertaining to my complaints, that it might have got lost, it might have got mischarged. What did General Tung say after my complaints? Could you listen to what General Tung said, what could have happened to my complaint that I filed, that I put my life on the line for, that I put my wife's life on the line for, that I put my future wife on the line for. Listen to what Attorney General Tung said. Okay, this letter was dated November 2nd, 2021, addressed to you, and it's in reference to your complaints, the assigned public inquiry number as well as the complaint concerning Assistant Attorney Mitchell. Dear Cecil Young, we are writing in response to your October 4th inquiry. You are requesting any and all correspondence concerning your complaint number C-09-1268, which was the complaint number provided to you by former Assistant Attorney Arnold Mitchell back in 2009. It appears that your complaint related to a whistleblower allegation. Under the Connecticut Freedom of Information Act, the records relating to the whistleblower investigation are exempt from disclosure. The applicable provision in Connecticut General Statute 1-210B13, also given the date of your complaint, such records may have been destroyed pursuant to the state of Connecticut retention policy. Accordingly, we do not believe that we have any records relating to your 2009 complaint.
Can you believe that? Can you believe that? There is no record pertaining to my complaint, even though several departments got my complaint and they did their reports. Even if General Tung can't find his findings from the Attorney General's office, why don't he ask the auditors what their status of their complaint was? Could he get a copy of their complaint? And then also too, Attorney General Tung, can you investigate the allegations that I sent you, which is the same allegation that caused the Assistant Attorney General Mitchell probable cause to file this complaint on my behalf? Could you please look at that, and you will see that those folks that I mentioned, they violated civil rights and they also committed fraud. Could you please do that on behalf of the taxpayers? Attorney General Blumenthal, Senator Blumenthal, you come to everybody else's rescue. Could you come to mine? Help me clear up what they did not do on your behalf that you started on my behalf. Thank you, and God bless you.